I think it's the biggest challenge I've ever incurred in my career.
Technique is to meditate. Don't think of a foreign body going in the nose.
It was always going to be difficult. The world is such a different place to what it once was.
So up until we get the confirmation, we would have to stay in our bedrooms, unfortunately.
We did get a message from one of the players saying that, "Doc, get me out, otherwise I'm just going to jump off the terrace."
Checking your temperature and sanitizing, social distancing, masks, my God, who would have thought?
That's one of the high points of this IPL, I feel. I think as KKR, this is the most united we've been together as a team.
This year is a year like no other, and I say that because a lot of things that normal cricketers, what we have normally gone through over a period of time, is definitely something that is not something that we will be going through this year.
It is certainly not the same way how it used to happen in the past, and it is certainly a whole different world and a whole different way of playing things because of the COVID pandemic.
It was always going to be difficult. The world is such a different place to what it once was, and I had a lot of time at home where we loved that time at home as a family. It was the first time where we kind of had to stop and just take stock of what our journey's been on with.
Some of the things that we talk about these days, including the terminology that has become part of our vocabulary these days, and biosecure bubbles and quarantining and wearing fobs and getting tested every 5 days and filling out an app every day and checking your temperature and sanitizing, social distancing, masks, my God, who would have thought all these things?
All the atrocities that's happened in the world in terms of a pandemic, but more importantly after that, the cyclone Ampan that happened, and the destruction it caused, the amount of lives that really had turmoil to go through those times.
This IPL will be different. What has happened in the world has pained us deeply, and it is surely a challenge to play cricket. The road ahead may be full of obstacles.
The threat is there, but we want to make sure that we are on top of everything in terms of following all the protocols that have been put in place.
This IPL, we're going to see a lot of injuries. These guys have had very less skill-based training, so these guys are more vulnerable to injuries.
When things started to ramp back up again from a professional point of view and cricket going on around the world, we knew that it was going to be busy, and then I guess we had a period of time where we knew that the IPL was going to follow the CPL, so it would mean that we'd be away for quite a bit of time.
As cricketers, we definitely need to be grateful at this point of time. Just the fact that cricket is happening, I think it's not easy under the current circumstances with so many rules happening.
It's taken a lot of effort, no doubt. We're very fortunate that a tournament of this scale is happening.
And for the first time ever, just playing a game was as rewarding as winning a game.
To have a tournament of this scale with more than say 1,500 people involved and to get the tournament up and running. I think BCCI deserves a lot of credit. I mean, initial part I was really nervous. I mean, in terms of testing and how would the whole thing would pan out, how the whole biosecure bubble would plan out, because we have never been part of sort of this experience ever before in our life, and hopefully we will never have such an experience in our life.
The build up to the IPL was incredible. You know, the kind of shape the guys were in, the way they were hitting the ball, the way they were bowling, I felt they were on top of the game.
देश आज एक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय करने जा रहा है। आज रात 12 बजे से संपूर्ण देश में संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है। अभी के हालात को देखते हुए देश में ये लॉकडाउन 21 दिन का होगा।
That we were trying to peak at the right time, and we were ideally preparing for that. I remember just 2 days prior to the lockdown being announced, 13 of us were in Mumbai. You know, literally we had a get together and Venki sir had come and there were 13 boys there. We had prepared really hard together. You know, when the lockdown happened, people thought 1 week, 2 weeks, yes, IPL is going to happen and we'll be back. You know, 2 weeks won't damage it. But 4 months obviously took the wind out of, you know, everything that they put, all the hard work they put in. And then we had a 4-month a gap where a lot of the guys didn't pick up a bat.
बड़ी खबर आ रही है और बड़ी खबर आईपीएल से जुड़ी हुई है। आईपीएल को अनिश्चित काल के लिए स्थगित किया गया है।
I'm a sports fan. I love sport. During the lockdown, I only realised how much I miss it when it's taken away. There are loads and loads of fixtures and opportunities that people can come and watch, or it's always on the TV. It's very rarely that actually people need you and need your sport.
The 13th edition of the IPL is all set to kick off in UAE. Abu Dhabi will host the tournament opener.
All the teams have been placed in separate biosecure bubbles following rigorous testing process for COVID-19.
Now is a circumstance when people actually need to watch sport as a release, and the IPL provides that.
And maintain physical distancing when viewing and sitting at the end.
Once I jumped on that plane, whilst it's hard to leave your family behind, you know you've got a job to do, and you come over here and you sink your teeth into it. You do everything you possibly can to try and do the best job that you can.
For about 6 months now, we have spent time with family. I think now gives us 3 months of an opportunity to spend time with this family, and I don't think many of us are complaining. I think we're all happy to be with each other, to play the sport, and more importantly, to have a smile on our faces throughout.
From this particular IPL, what has literally happened is we are living in a biosecure bubble. So what it means is that we are all staying within the confines of a particular bubble, and we are not supposed to sort of meet up with other people.
I think it's the biggest challenge I've ever incurred in my career. It has a different aspect to it, and I think cricket in general is mentally testing and draining and rewarding all in one. But having that when you leave the ground on top of everything else, I think is unbelievably challenging.
When the pandemic struck us and we were in lockdown, all we wanted to do was play the sport. Today, we have an opportunity to play the sport, and more importantly, a tournament of IPL, which is a tournament of big magnitude. And if we get the opportunity to play there and people are watching us on TV, I think the least we could do is be part of this bio bubble and go through some hardships off the field and make sure we put a smile on every person who's watching us.
Of course, we are playing the tournament in overseas condition, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi in UAE, wherein we know that the climate is going to be very hot and humid.
I think all teams have faced the same thing, because typically you do pick teams for your conditions, knowing that half the games you're going to play at home, and therefore being in a position to win a substantial number of games at home and make it into your fortress, as people put it, is a strategy that most teams adopt. So from that perspective, it was definitely very different coming in here.
Medical service. For me, who was affected by COVID, and when I spoke to the boys and explained to them my journey and my 30 days of quarantine and what I went through in terms of emotion, up and down and stuff like that, I felt give them more clarity in terms of it is a disease that can take your life, but it is also something that if you take good care of yourself and if you are in the right frame of mind and your body is taken care of and your nutrition is good, you can survive it and go past it. At that point, I felt a lot of guys were getting itchy and agitated with the fact that when we came in, everyone was prepared mentally for a 6-day quarantine, and then that was slightly pushed forward. It went to a 14-day quarantine, and then we somehow pulled it down to 11. But I felt around the 6th day, 5th day, everyone was like, they thought quarantine would be fine. They all felt that we can still meet each other because we were in the bubble. But just the fact that then they realized, oh damn, we can't meet each other, we can't talk to each other, we can't even see each other, and we have to sit in our rooms, and now suddenly no family, no nothing.
So what it does is it certainly affects the person, every one of us, whether it's a player, support staff or everyone, it tends to start affecting emotionally and mentally. I mean, it becomes a major challenge, especially with this COVID-19 pandemic. What we don't realize is all these guys were staying with the family, in the last 6-7 months.
There were different people coming from different places, which is why when you're with your family, you think differently. When you're away from it and you're suddenly put in a room and you're all alone and you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about your friends, you're thinking about your loved ones, and what if, you're all over the news, you're only reading about people, losing their life to COVID or getting affected severely, and you're always worried, So I feel it was quite real. I feel it really took an impact on a lot of people.
दवाई वगैरह दित्ती है ते दित्ती है मशीन चीज़ ते हाँ जी
I spoke to you about my TV.
Yes.
TV room. What happened?
I said they were going to look into it. Are you still complaining?
Been 3 days, man. Come on. I thought you gonna join us as well.
I am going to join you guys next week.
I'm talking about training. I'm talking about training.
How many have we got? Bueno.
Sorry, we've got 18 at the moment.
Why are you
Yes.
so obsessed with burpees and press-ups?
Well, the only problem with them is when you're in an environment like your room, there's not much else you can do that really hurts or makes it physically hard for upper body. All right, what's time? We have 1 more minute, and then I'll explain the session. It's not quite as intense as yesterday.
As long as there are no burpees, nothing is intense, I guess.
The first exercise is burpees, but we won't talk.
Just to give them the feel that the team's still here, we're still together. It was just to make sure that mentally they're still in the right place. When we get out of the quarantine, they haven't beaten themselves down too much. We did some yoga sessions, we did some training sessions with CD.
The younger players, you take them away and you get them here, you put them in a room for almost 6 to 10 days, wherein our quarantine lasted a bit longer than 6 days. I mean, we did get a message from one of the players saying that, "Doc, get me out, otherwise I'm just going to jump off the terrace." Though it was told in a very joking way, but you never know the implications of that if it lasts for a longer time.
Guys, just before you guys just crack on with your little Zoom session, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on everything following last night's call. From here now, Abu Dhabi Cricket will take the tests and all our results so far to the government for approval for us to exit our quarantine. At the moment, Abu Dhabi is still observing a 14-day quarantine for everyone, but we are trying to get this one reduced, and we should, and I'm actually pretty confident that this will be reduced, but we will only find out at some point tomorrow. So up until we get the confirmation, we will have to stay in our bedrooms, unfortunately.
A lot of the guys were, I felt were a bit agitated, so we did a couple of antakshari.
लाड ज्वाइन कर रहा है, लीव कर रहा है, ज्वाइन कर रहा है, लीव कर रहा है. मेरे को लग रहा है कि दिखाने के लिए कि वाईफाई बहुत खराब है.
तो शुरू ऐसा होगा, बैठे बैठे क्या करे, करना है कुछ काम, चलो शुरू करते हैं, लेके भगवान का नाम म. शुभमन की टीम म से शुरू करो.
अरे वो गाना मेहंदी लगा के रखना, वो है ना.
अरे
रिंकू गाओ यार, मुझे गाना नहीं आता है. गाओ
मेहंदी लगा के रखना.
Like I said, it's all about understanding the pulse of the boys. It was really important for us to have those conversations with everyone, try to understand if that's what's bothering them.
Foz has got a little bit of magic for us, and then we'll move into Huss after, but the floor is yours, Foz.
Thank you. Well, my magic trick is the fact that I can get this 1 dirham coin, I can put it at the bottom of the water bottle, and with a little bit of hocus pocus, it can pop straight back into the water bottle. Okay. Big moment. Okay. Oogity boogity. Oogity boogity. Oogity boogity. Boys, it worked. It worked. Tree, like, can you check for me?
Yeah, I guess.
Please? So just in case no one takes my word for it. I'm gonna have a little look. Can you see the Durham? Bit close up.
So I was trying to figure out a way in which I can get everyone to, kind of unite and spend time, not necessarily talking cricket or keeping them in a room, but doing something fun wherein, they're talking to each other, laughing at each other and building some sort of connection which lasts the whole season. So that's how the movie thing came up.
Before we started, then we laughing.
That was a fabulous 2-3 days because the amount of interest the boys showed in shooting that was phenomenal. I think every cricketer that played for KKR will take that memory back with them. I think it was a fabulous idea put together by Abhishek Nair and
we built something that will last us through the season in terms of just that movie, in terms of the names now people have in our team. They've basically lost their first name and now the movie names have come in.
So what it really did was it engaged everyone. So they forgot the fact that they are living in this biosecure bubble.
just the fact that we got together and did something so fun and so good as well, I thought I must appreciate all the boys for the effort they put in there.
Even I didn't expect it to be such a big hit, because when we actually viewed the movie for the first time, the whole environment was electrifying. It was literally, as I was sitting there and I was getting goosebumps. I was like, damn, I obviously didn't envision this, but this is something, it was something special. Just the time making the movie, the scripts and people acting, and it is amazing. I feel that kind of brought the guys together and gave them something more to talk about than just the cricket.
Switch off for a lot of cricketers would mean going out, just walking out to malls, having a meal here and there, doing stuff that's outside of the hotel. I think that was missing. But having said that, in many ways, I think it brought the team a lot closer because you ended up doing a lot of things together as a team. That's one of the high points of this IPL, I feel. I think as KKR, this is the most united we've been together as a team.
But for all those things to work, at a fundamental level, the team has to bond well. And that boils down to people.
It's almost like you come into a franchise setup, but it's almost like you're playing for decades together. And that relationship, like I said, sometimes you only get in first class sides, or when you're playing Ranji Trophy, or you're playing for India for a number of seasons, but very rarely in a franchise setup.
In some ways, I think this whole COVID and a biosecure thing has, in a way, kind of forced us to stay together, and they've done it happily.
The reward of the sacrifice being away is worth it, and so far it's been great. I'm not just talking results, but the experiences too, the relationships that you make and the memories that you create from being a part of sporting teams. So far it's been worth it.
More than learning, I think the recognition that a tournament of this scale can be staged during these challenging times has been really, really a satisfying thing. It's been an amazing experience to find solutions to be able to operate under adverse conditions and still have a successful tournament. And in the process, it's nice that we're all gainfully employed, and that's a big plus when that happens, because when the season happens, the big wheel is in motion and everything starts working, which is great.
Having it back on TV, having that competitive nature is such an integral part of not only the English summer, but the Indian year. Having the IPL is huge. It puts smiles on people's faces, it gets that competitive edge. I think it is something to cheer about. I think it is.
है